In this video, we're reviewing the Little Mermaid and giving you a cocktail to make you acquire your desires called the Poor Unfortunate Soul. Today on the Martini Shot. Hello and welcome to the Martini Shot, home of movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails. My name is Brandon, and before we get into the review, let's brew a sea potion I've named the Poor Unfortunate Soul. And hey, if you enjoy movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to help support the channel. The Poor Unfortunate Soul is a bit of a riff on a pre-existing cocktail named the Suffering Bastard, a cocktail designed in World War II to help cure the hangovers for the troops. This is essentially the PG-rated version, but still contains all of that R-rated alcohol. I decided to design the cocktail around the undersea dealer of devilish deeds, Ursula the Sea Witch. We'll be making the cocktail purple thanks to some hibiscus ginger beer, while also adding a hint of chocolate to pair alongside some minor tropical flavors. If you choose to make this cocktail, then come along with me. No need to turn in your voice, unless your name is Brendan Urie. And before we get started, I just wanted to make a very quick disclaimer. I actually shot this video about 2 weeks ago from when you're seeing it now. However, I shot it at night and I don't have proper lighting equipment at the moment, so I didn't really like how the cocktail ended up looking. I actually planned on just scrapping this entire video altogether, but I liked the review and wanted to put the review out. So I'm shooting the cocktail portion of the video in the daytime now, just to make sure that there's proper lighting so the cocktail looks as good as it did in person. But I'm also keeping the original video of the review, so when you see later down the line when it looks a lot darker, that's why it's from a past video. But yeah, not a huge deal, just wanted to clear up if there was any confusion with that later down the line, so let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, before we start making the cocktail itself, we need to prep our glass. We are gonna be doing a sugar rim. And for this cocktail, I'm gonna be using a coupe glass, but feel free to use whichever kind of glass you want. So to rim our glass, super simple. You're gonna take a lime wedge, run it along the rim of the glass, and then we are going to coat it in the sugar. All right, and once you have that done, you can go ahead and set this to the side, grab your shaker, and we can go ahead and start jumping into the cocktail itself. All right, so first we're gonna go ahead and start with some fresh lime juice. You're gonna be doing 3/4 ounces. And now for our alcohol, we're gonna be using a little bit of creme de cacao. This original recipe called for some chocolate bitters, and I, for the life of me, cannot find my chocolate bitters right now. I was just in the middle of a move. So I'm gonna be using this clear creme de cacao, which is gonna give us a nice little subtle chocolate taste I think is gonna combine really well with the rum, the lime juice, and even some of the botanicals. And for that, you're gonna be doing 1/2 ounce. And next up, we're gonna be using creme de violet. So in the original Suffering Bastard recipe, it calls for gin, but since I wanted something a little bit more on the purple side, I went ahead and opted to use creme de violet. And creme de violet tastes completely different from gin. However, they do both have some kind of floral botanical notes to it. And you're gonna be doing 1 ounce. And now finally for our rum. And actually I had the Plantation 5-year out to use, but I actually think I'm going to switch this out for a white rum. It's starting to feel a little bit more daiquiri to me, and I think if I want the colors that I'm going for to kind of come through, I think going white is the best way. And I just so happen to have some white Plantation rum. And you're gonna be doing 2 ounces. All right, we have a few more ingredients, but for the shaker, that's all we're gonna need for right now. Go ahead and throw some ice in there and shake to chill. All right, we're looking pretty good. It's been more of a whitish, luminescent purple. We're gonna try to go for something a little bit deeper. And to do that, we're gonna be utilizing 2 things. We're gonna be using that aforementioned hibiscus ginger beer, as well as just a little bit of blue curacao just to nudge the color in the kind of direction that we're looking for. So most hibiscus ginger beers usually come out a little bit more on the red side, so that's why we're gonna be using that blue curacao. So we can go ahead and top up our drink. And then very carefully, about 1/4 ounce to like a bar spoon at a time, we're gonna be adding the blue curacao, mixing it into the drink and seeing if we can get the color that we're looking for. And there you go, now you have the Poor Unfortunate Soul. So there's a pairing of 3 flavors in here that I thought was gonna be kind of off the wall, but actually end up working very well together. That's the hibiscus, the creme de violet, and the chocolate. The hibiscus makes it nice and fruity, but also a little botanical, which is then amplified by the creme de violet. None of these flavors are really powerful in their own right, but they just kind of slide in right next to each other super, super well. There's an underlying richness from that chocolate, I definitely think going with the white rum was the better choice here. I think it melds a little bit better here and would probably have overpowered some of these other flavor elements if we went with the darker one. And the sugar rim is also a nice touch. It really kind of brings in a little bit more sweetness. I know if you use a lot of creme de violet, it can really dry out your drink, so I definitely think having that sugar rim amplifies it a little bit. And once you get it to the color that you like, I think it looks striking, especially when you're serving it in a coupe glass like this, unimpeded by ice. If you don't know, coupe glasses are one of the best ways to showcase the look and color of a cocktail just by their design. But yeah, overall, very happy with this one. I think it's pretty easy to drink, and it's a little bit different from your normal garden variety cocktail that I think a lot of people will gravitate towards. Now that we have our drink, let's dive straight into the review of The Little Mermaid. Disney live action remakes. You either love the adaptation of your childhood classics into live action, or you detest the lack of originality from a studio once known for completely changing the movie game. For me, I kind of lean towards the latter, as up until this point I've been pretty much avoiding the other remakes after The Jungle Book. I just don't really see a point in taking animated classics and giving them a twice as long, often inferior looking remake. This idea that a film can be elevated by making it live action is a bit disheartening coming from one of the biggest animation studios in the world, especially since other filmmakers like Guillermo del Toro have done so much to bring respect back to the medium. Regardless, here we are talking about The Little Mermaid, a Disney film that played a pretty prominent role in my childhood. It was actually the first film I can remember seeing in theaters, and it's still so iconic that I still remember a ton about why the film is regarded as a classic. The fun songs, beautiful animation, an iconic villain, and I guess a few subliminal sexual messages all worked into making this a true animation icon. Why they would ever try to one-up it and improve it is beyond me, but 2023's Little Mermaid certainly tries. And I'll give it props, it does try to do more with the story this time around, giving its main characters more depth and desires that I do see as an improvement over the original. But beyond that, I can't really say it succeeds over the original completely, with so-so special effects, stunted performances, questionable design choices, and a bloated runtime making me believe not everything is better under the sea. The story is still fundamentally the same, with a young mermaid named Ariel longing to join humans on land, while her domineering father, King Triton, forbids it. When Ariel becomes enamored with a human prince named Eric, Ariel turns to making a deal with a sea witch named Ursula to make her dreams a reality. But like most deals with witches, there's always a catch. So look, there was a ton of discourse around this movie before release, especially around the casting of Halle Bailey as Ariel. A lot of the comments about her were unwarranted, and for what it's worth, she does an okay job here. Her singing ability cannot be denied, and I would argue that she pulls off some of the iconic songs like Part of Your World better than we've ever heard before. I think she also does an admirable job capturing the wonder and curiosity of the character, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't find her performance a bit reined in most of the time. And this may not exactly be Bailey's fault, because a lot of the other performances seem to suffer from lack of direction. Javier Bardem's Triton feels kind of aimless at times, while Melissa McCarthy's Ursula never really reaches the same bombastic evil of her predecessor. These are good actors that just feel mishandled at the end of the day, though I will say the voice cast does manage to rise above. Daveed Diggs' Sebastian, Jacob Tremblay's Flounder, and Awkwafina's Scuttle all do decent jobs at bringing life to their occasionally lifeless-looking characters. The decision to make these animal characters more realistic kind of robs them of their ability to properly emote, which can really undercut some scenes like Sebastian's Under the Sea song. The music is luckily one of the stronger aspects of the film, as classic tunes are revitalized while remaining both contemporary and faithful. The aforementioned Part of Your World and Under the Sea are the standouts, while classics like Kiss the Girl and Poor Unfortunate Soul earn their flowers as well. There's a few new songs thrown in here too, but they feel kind of out of place, almost like they're directly clashing with the original soundtrack that felt way more timeless. The Scuttle and Sebastian rap just feels completely out of place. Wonder who could be behind that. Visuals have been one of the biggest complaints aimed at nearly all of Disney's recent films, from poor lighting to unconvincing computer-generated objects and backgrounds. When we're above water, I actually think the film looks pretty good, with a vibrant amount of colors and nicely designed sets that capture a lively Caribbean kingdom aesthetic. But contrary to the song, Under the Sea isn't always better, as the visuals can be incredibly mixed at times, with human faces obviously grafted onto CGI bodies and environments that elicit no real sense of weight or space. It's not all terrible, as the underwater effects for the human actors are pretty convincing, and there's enough color to make up for a bit of a lack in variety when it comes to the undersea kingdom. The original film has a streamlined, if not simple, story that I think is given some legs. In this remake, given Ariel and even her human crush Eric more to their characters, which allows them to feel more three-dimensional. You actually get to see more of their relationship develop and blossom, even if it does still involve wooing a literal fish out of water who can't speak. While this is nice, the film does feel needlessly stretched to include new songs and small moments that don't always feel vital. A good chunk of this could have been whittled down, as I think the 500 scenes of Sebastian going "Where is Ariel?" get very repetitive after a while. But as I said, there are some positives to having a longer story. My biggest takeaway from any remake is whether or not it has a genuinely good reason to exist. The Little Mermaid 2023 toes that line, adding a bit more to make it unique from the original, but ultimately can't help but fall back on attempting to replicate what made the animated film so great. There's some elements here that I think will stand the test of time, like the re-recordings of the classic songs, but I can't acknowledge that this movie isn't really for me. Disney doesn't seem to be slowing down on their live-action remakes, and I can't really say this gives me any real desire to see any future releases, especially if they become more blatant vanity projects like the live-action Moana remake. You aren't fooling us, Dwayne. Black Adam sucked and now you want to regain credibility? For shame. For my rating, I'm giving this film 2 Dinglehoppers out of 5. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Martini Shot. If you saw the Little Mermaid remake, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. And if you like what you saw here and would like to see more, don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me across all social media channels. Those links are down in the description below. If you enjoy movie reviews and movie-themed cocktails, be sure to check out my website, martinishot.blog. Until next time, thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Live deliciously, but please remember to drink responsibly.